Okay, so now I put the blade in the jigsaw. I found a thinner piece of wood. This wood was too fat. So now the blade sits fairly level. It's not perfectly level, but fairly level. Enough where you give it support. So I need to put the shield back on the bottom and snap it in. Then, let's see. Yep. So here we go. Let's give it a shot. See what happens. Okay, so I had to stop it, so I can do that. Or maybe I'll just cut it out. Maybe better if I just cut it out. So we'll cut it out. Maybe not. Cut a hole so I can get the blade out. So I was having trouble getting the blade back into the original cut. It might have melted the epoxy and resealed it. So I'm going to have to take the blade off, put it back in the hole, and then resituate it. So let's try that. So I'm going to take the blade off. So I cut a hole, I can get it out. Hopefully, there we go. So we got it out. So I cut this hole right here so I could get it out, so I could resituate it, because I couldn't back it out because I think it melted the epoxy and I couldn't get the blade back to where I started cutting. So I'm going to have to put the blade back in. So let's see, how can I do this? Cut it there. So I'm going to put the blade in pointing this way so I can do a cut that is cutting around here. Then I'll probably cut to right there, and then I'm going to have to resituate the blade again. So this is kind of monotonous. But because of this arm, I can't turn the cut all the way around. So it's kind of difficult. So not too bad, but something that you can still cut the handles on a jigsaw. If the handles were any higher, I probably couldn't do it this depth. If they were any higher, I probably couldn't do it on this jigsaw. I'd have to figure out another way how to do it, which would be interesting. But Anyway, so I'm going to put the blade in. Take this off. Put the blade in, pointing this way towards me. So I insert it in the hole. Then I put the blade in. Make sure the teeth are pointing down. Insert it in the hole. Push it in. Tighten up the blade. Then I'll be able to cut all the way around here. And I'll probably have to stop. I don't know, probably right there. So I'm going to have to probably redo it. So resituate the blade. Okay, now put the board back up. And looks like it's going to be cut at an angle. That's not a big deal because I'm going to take a Dremel and I'm going to do a ream around the inside and even it up. So it's slightly at an angle, but it's not really not a big deal. We just want to get rid of all this area. Okay, so I'm kind of practicing where I'm going to go. So let's kind of go this way. There we go. Got that cut out. Now, undo the blade. There we go. So now we have our handle. It's kind of big, but I wanted to keep this rounded. Got a really good angle on it. So I'll have to probably taper off the handle and round it out with a Dremel. So I'll get back to you when we do that. So we're gonna start working on the handle. That would be right here. You can see how the jigsaw kind of cut it pretty rough, pretty square. We want to just round off all the edges and make it look nice. So right here I cut into it a little bit, if you can see. So I might need to take out some material. Excuse me. I think I'm going to flatten this to the cup right here. And then just round everything else. Make it look nice. So I have a vise. I mounted this on here. It's a piece of wood mounted onto a regular, I don't know, it's a three-part vise. I really like it. It has a handle so I can go back and forth. Then I use my inner tube. Just take any bicycle inner tube and just cut it, and that gives you good gription, and on the side that holds the cup or piece of wood in the vise real sturdy while you're working on it. And it helps you anyway, hold it real sturdy. I use a Dremel, about, I don't know, 1500 RPMs with a 1/4 inch, like I said before, a 1/4 inch burr on it. So we'll see, that's how it goes. So I use safety glasses. I use normal glasses because that's pretty good enough for safety glasses. Now I changed the bit of my Dremel to a, I don't know, that looks like a 1/2 inch drum. Sanding barrel, probably the grit's 120 or it feels like 120. And I'm using the same speed on the Dremel. So I'll just go over it, smooth it down, make it look really good. As good as you can. And I think I'm going to put on a smaller barrel, sanding barrel. Yeah, small one. This one is, I think, 1/8 inch. Yeah, this is an 1/8 inch 120 sanding barrel. You can buy them on Amazon. reason why I'm putting an 1/8 inch on is I want to get into these cuts right here. So the burr is a little bit bigger than an 1/8 inch, but I want to get into these corners right here and clean these up. So this should finish it off. And they break. So I gotta change out another one. You press too hard, they break. Okay, after changing out the 1/8 inch sanding barrel to a new one, you can buy these sanding barrels on Amazon. Whole bunch of them for like, I don't know, $10 or $12 for a Dremel. So let's continue. Okay, well, that looks good enough. So that's how it looks now. It's all sanded down, and all we need to do is I'm going to route both ends, and we'll get to that on the next segment. Hey, back again here. We're gonna do the sanding on this. We're gonna, I probably need to sand the inside. I need to sand the inside and then the outside, and I'm gonna use a 120 flat disc on it. You can buy these on Amazon. So again, I use the tube. Got some ripples in the cut. And I also need to wrap the bottom of it. So we'll do that too. That's pretty good. Let's keep going around the corner. Let's see, go right here. Okay. Yeah, I think I need to do the inside. I think I got it. So I have put a 120 flat disc on a drill extension, and that lets me go down on the inside of the cups. So that's helpful, else you can't get down there to sand. So, there we go. So you got it smoothed down pretty good. Now the next thing to do is to route the bottom, then route the top. So I'm probably going to route the bottom with a 1/4 inch router bit, and the top is that's a real small bit. I don't know yet. I'll tell you when we do it. After looking at the cup, I think the handle is too long right here. So I've got a tape. So if I measure, I think I want to take about a 1/2 inch off this handle. So I think I will cut a 1/2 inch here off. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. Probably you can just use all kinds of methods, so I'm not going to really show you how I'm going to do it, but I'll show you. I want to show you guys, I cut a 1/2 inch off the handle because it was just way too far out this way. So now it's a lot better. So I took about this much off of it, and then I glued it with some wood glue. So you can see where I glued it, and it's not very even right there. So I'm going to take a Dremel and I'm just going to smooth it out and see if I can smooth it out and make it look a little bit better. So let's do that. Use my tube. Got my Dremel, I got my, I don't know what bit you call this. I don't know what bit it is. Okay. Huh? Oh, that's okay. I'm filming right now. But all right, now I need to just put a sanding barrel on this and go over it, and we'll have her done. And then I'm going to route the bottoms of it. Yeah. I went and grabbed a sanding barrel, which is smaller, and I'm going to sand all this real quick. Okay, there we go. So I think that fits. A little skinnier now, but it's better than, it was like sticking way out there too far. So I think that'll work out well. Now I'm going to route the bottom and route the top. And then we'll put epoxy on the inside. Probably 2 coats of epoxy on the inside. I have a 1/4 inch router bit. I have a 1/4 inch router bit installed in my router underneath my table. And I have it up. And what you do is you take a piece of wood and do a test to make sure that it routes okay. So let's do that. So I think that's going to be okay. So you can see, you do a check on it, make sure it routes okay, and then you do your piece, and then you find out, then you don't mess it up. So let's route the bottom of this cup. So I'll grab the cup, and here we go. Got to be careful about the handle. I don't think. Okay, here we go. Rough right there, go over that again. There we go. There you go, and that's what you get. You get the bottom. So now I'm going to set it up to do, let's see, looks like a 1/16 on the top, around the top. So you can see this chip here. I might have to put some wood putty on this chip, but that's like sawdust and glue. So some sawdust and glue right here on this chip. So maybe after I route it, we'll see what happens. I have an 8-inch router bit now in my router, and then I just test routed this piece of plywood, and it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to route the cup, and so I'm going to route the inside and the outside. So you got to be really careful. Okay, that chipped up a little bit. Now I'm going to try the outside. Be really careful. Okay, well, I'm going to have to put a little wood putty on here. I chipped it. It chipped away. So plywood will chip away when you route it. It's not like hardwood. So I'm going to have to mix up some glue and some sawdust and put it right there and right there, right there. And let that dry. And then I'll sand the top down. And that should do it. So I got the bottom routed out and I got the top done. So I'll come back to you when I get that done. I mixed up some Type Bond 2 premium wood glue and the sawdust that I got just right off the table. And I made myself a little slurry of wood glue and sawdust. And that saves you money from going and buying any wood putty. So I put a coating on all those chips, all those chip outs. And we'll let that sit overnight. And come back and sand it. Sand it down. Sand it smooth. And then hopefully we'll have a fairly decent lip on this. Plywood is really temperamental. I mean, it chips away. So you got to be careful with it. But this is turning out to be a nice cup. I think I'll keep this cup because I don't plan on making any more cups. I'm actually moving to a retirement complex and I have to put my shop up in storage. So, or I might sell everything. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, that's how you do the top anyway, and then that's how you repair something with wood with sawdust and wood glue. So that's pretty easy. Saves you money. All right, I'll catch you later. We'll come back, we'll sand this top off, and then we'll put 2 coats of epoxy on the inside, and then I think I'm going to put maybe a coat of Danish oil on it, and then I'm going to cover it in epoxy. So we'll see how that works out. All right, we'll catch you later. So I just sanded the top. That looks good enough. Now let's sand the bottom. I want to get this ridge off right here. So let's do that. And once I get this sanded, then we can put, I think I'm going to put a coat of Danish oil on the outside to darken it up. And then we'll put our first coat of epoxy on it. Okay, so got that all blended in. So let's go, let's put some Danish oil on this. So I'll be back. So I got the Danish oil out, and so I just pour it in a cup, and then I put it on with gloves. And just like set it on a paper towel. just wipe it on with my fingers. So it's kind of like a brush. Really brings out the color of it. Probably want to keep it off the epoxy, so the epoxy can adhere to the epoxy I just wanted to give it some color before I put epoxy on it. There you go. Now, just let that soak in, and that's how it looks. Yeah, I think it's gonna look pretty good. I'm gonna keep this cup. I'm not gonna sell it. So you notice how scratched up this epoxy is right here. What's cool about this Total Boat epoxy is when you put another coat on it, I'm going to apply it with gloves just like I did the Danish oil, and when you let it dry, it actually dries clear and it looks like you sanded it with you know, like 3000 sandpaper. So there won't be any sanding needed for this handle. So basically I don't have to sand this anymore at all when you keep applying this epoxy. So it's gonna look okay. Not too bad. So I think we're gonna let this dry a few hours, and then I'm gonna apply some epoxy on it. So I'll come back and do that. I mixed up some tabletop epoxy by Total Boat and 220 milliliters, and I'm going to just cover the whole thing in epoxy. So I'm just going to go for it. And I don't know, the paper towels, I'm going to probably have to sand the bottom after it dries. And then I'll put a coat. I'll probably let it dry. I probably need to get a dryer out here. Usually you can get a dryer, and if you have any bubbles in the bottom, you get a hair dryer and you blow it on the bubbles, and all the bubbles come out. So we'll let there and sit. Wow, I wasted all that epoxy. Well, oh well. So we'll let that dry. That looks real good. It's gonna look real good. So we'll let that dry and come back. Then we'll put another coat on, and that should finish it up. Probably the way I'll have to do it is I'm gonna have to sand the bottom, and then I'll put another coat on it, and then leave the top to dry without putting any on the bottom. Then I won't have anything sticking to it, and then I can like put a coat on the bottom and then flip it over on the top and let it dry, and then I won't have anything sticking to that. So that's how you get around that. So it's too bad I wasted all that epoxy. But anyway, make sure, well, if you can figure out how much epoxy you're gonna use, it's wise, because epoxy is expensive. So we'll come back after this dries. I'd let it dry about at least 12 to 4 hours. I gotta go get a blow dryer and blow out the bubbles in this in the bottom of it. So I'll be right back. So I went and got a heat gun. This is just your regular heat gun that you can buy at the store, Ace Hardware, hot heat gun, and just put it on low. And that gets rid of all the bubbles. That looks really good. That's gonna turn out nice. So that's it. So that gets rid of all your bubbles. So just let that dry about, I don't know, 24 hours. So we'll come back tomorrow, and then definitely it's going to stick to the bottom. Going to have to sand all the paper off the bottom and then give it another coat. So we'll come back tomorrow. Okay, so I wasn't able to film the rest of the finishing, but I got all the second coat of epoxy on it, and this is how it came out. So I want to show you how it came out. If you can you can see how the handle, after you put a coat of epoxy on the handle, you need no sanding whatsoever. So that saves a lot of sanding. The epoxy actually goes into the small cracks of the what the sandpaper leaves, and leaves a pure clear coating, which saves you from sanding all the way up to like 3,000. You can sand up to like 120, and then that shows you a clear coating, which saves a lot of work. So you can see where I filled in the top where it was chipped, and then I put 2 coats of epoxy on the inside, and then 2 coats of epoxy on the outside, and then that's the cup. So I'm really proud of this. I'm going to keep it, and so I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a laminated plywood cup. Have a good day.